In this video, I want to show you the last classical game I played in 2023. And this was one of the most exciting games of chess I've played in a very long time. Now I had the black pieces. I'm facing my friend Björn Thorvarsson. He's an international master. He's also the editor of an Icelandic newspaper and overall a very funny guy. We played each other plenty of times, so we know each other really well, our strengths, our weaknesses. So it always makes for an interesting matchup, and we always play very interesting games. And this one, no exception. So he opened the game with d4. I played knight f6, and this was played in the Icelandic league. So you have limited time to prepare, but I was expecting him to play bishop to g5 here. So this is sort of the first surprise. Usually he plays bishop g5 in blitz, very often in classical as well, but like I said, we know each other quite well, so he refrained from that and he played c4. So this was the first surprise for me in this game. Usually I don't really play a lot of Queen's Gambit declined, so that was a bit of a bummer, not gonna lie. But I've been studying some lines, so I have some ideas, and one of the lines I have been studying, fortunately, is the Rakosin. So I decided to go for it, even though I would like to study it a bit more, actually a lot more. I went for bishop b4 here. Now I was a little bit calmer because I know these lines are not something that he has been looking at actively, so he will not have more knowledge than me here. I would have liked to know the lines with queen a4 because he's a tricky player, and you sort of can't allow any tactical sequences. He will find inventive ideas, as you will see in the game. Fortunately, he went for e3, which is kind of a quiet move. So here, I started to feel pretty good. I just castle, play a normal move, and now you play queen c2, which is another normal move, but still a bit quiet. So here I can sort of dictate my own plans. I can play for c5, or I can play some plans with b6. I decided to go for a development with my Queen's Bishop fianchettoed on b7. Sometimes I even go to a6, as actually happened in the game. He went a3, and here, okay, we have a decision where to put the bishop. I think we can put it here. I think all these moves have its merit, but I decided to take on c3 here. Took a c3, and the reason I wanted to do that is I felt like I would be able to force the trade of light-squared bishops, and that's why I played bishop to a6. So now if he takes here, on d5, I'm pretty happy to execute this trade, which is strategically desirable, something that I've learned from the French defense. You often try to trade this light-squared bishop when you have these pawns. So yeah, either you want to play a quick c5 and get pressure on the center, or play for some light-square control. Sometimes it's the e4 square, sometimes you play for trades and maybe try to get control of the c4 square. So bishop a6, and he was aware of this and decided to go knight d2. So his idea is, if I take here on c4, he will take with a knight. So we will not trade light-squared bishops. So now I need to get this guy out, and I went for knight c6 here. c5 is also a move, but I went for knight c6. I was sort of stuck on this idea to put pressure on this pawn, maybe increase the pressure here, and again try to force the trade of the light-squared bishops. Again, he surprised me a bit, and he played e4. I was expecting c takes d5. And of course, it was important for me to calculate stuff like this when I was intending to take on g2, then to simply take on c6. And I was willing to defend this. I'm up a pawn. Okay, he has the open g file, but his pieces are a long way away from creating any immediate havoc. So I thought, I should be able to defend here. I can play g6, knight h5. If he goes for something crazy immediately. So I thought this was pretty okay for me. So e4 was a little bit of a surprise. I took on e4. Here, I probably didn't play the best move. I played h6. I missed the idea of just taking on e4, which is something that was recommended in the post-mortem of the game. And I missed this idea of queen d7. My main issue was bishop d3 is coming. I would have to weaken my position. But here with queen d7, not only am I protecting this one, I'm also protecting the pawn. So the bishop d3, I can play f5, protect this pawn. And then we go on with some plans like knight here, put pressure on this pawn. Even some e5s with the rooks coming to the central files. So here black is absolutely doing fantastic. So h6, not the best move. But I had some ideas. One of them was the move I was expecting was knight takes f6. He did not play that. In that case, a move like queen e4, hitting this guy. because I played h7 to h6, I don't have a hanging pawn on h7, so I can actually just play this rook move and run away with my king, and I've kept my pawns intact. And my king is not getting mated, I think. Well, it was my feeling during the game. But here he surprised me with a typical move for his style, g4. And I was like, oh no, not again. Trying to avoid these crazy lines, but this is what he does. He finds a way to make games complicated. And here I decided, okay, he's semi-bluffing. He doesn't have the attack figured out. It might be dangerous, but I'm going to try to defend. Just take the pawn, try to defend. So I took the pawn. And one of the lines I was thinking about was if rook g1, maybe I just take this pawn. I also calculated knight f6, and I pretty quickly saw the defense that I ended up playing in the game. But I did not see that he would play h3 first. That kind of escaped me. h3 first and then rook g1. So that's what I did. h3 and rook g1. So now he's threatening this, which is pretty annoying. And I can't step into this square because there's a landmine. The knight will move and I get mated. So I have to get out of the line of fire without letting too many pieces into the attack. So king h8 looks like a forced move. And I didn't really see a very dangerous way for him to continue. So I had seen this. So naturally, with the player I'm playing, I have to think, how is he going to try to complicate things? So before I went into this, I had realized that he's probably going to play the move that he played. But it still surprised me a little bit. I was expecting also maybe a move like bishop d3, but then I think the attack is too slow. Okay, he takes on h6. I took back. Plays queen d2. And of course I can't really go king h7, because then he has this fantastic move, knight to g5. And this is very hard to defend. If we take, there's mate on g7, and there's a lawnmower mate on the h file. So, but I had seen what I wanted to do, and perhaps I played it too quickly, because black can actually play the move knight h7 here and play for the win. He takes on h6, and I play rook g8, and I recover. Recovering this square, and I should be able to consolidate. So this was something I missed, and I played knight g8. Having seen that, okay, he can sacrifice the rook, so he sacrificed the pawn, then a piece, then he exchanged, rook takes g8. And this is a brilliant move, according to chess.com, because, well, he's basically making a draw here. If the king takes, plays queen takes h6, and because of this threat, I have to play f6 and f5. And I spent perhaps too much time on deciding if I want to play f6 or f5. And the more time I spent, I started thinking, just go f6. Because I was trying to calculate f5, and if he takes, this hangs, I play rook f7, knight comes. I have to calculate all these things. But if I play f5, if he wants to draw, he can play this anyway, just this check. So I thought, okay, let's just keep it safe. Let's just play f6. If he wants to draw, he can take it. If not, I think I'm winning. Especially because I have this queen e7, queen g7 coming, which looks like it's stopping everything. So at this point, I walk away from the board. I'm expecting to come back to queen g6 or a draw offer. So once I saw bishop d3, I started to know, what is he cooking? He can't do that, right? I have queen e7, queen g7, right? He has to spend the tempo on the queen. He doesn't have time for threats. So of course I had to think, and then I realized, oh no, he has this amazing idea. So, do I stick with queen e7, queen g7, or do I try to run? So start playing king f7. The problem with king f7, which I didn't play, I played queen e7. If I play this, I will need to start to calculate all kinds of things, including this one, when he might have a move like, say, knight c5, with this threat coming in. And he starts to regain material, and the attack continues. Still complicated. I think this is good for white, if my memory serves me correctly. But queen e7, that's what I played. And of course I had to foresee that he's going to play king e2, which he played, and I'm going to play queen g7. And the thing he was cooking, having already sacrificed a pawn, a piece, and then the exchange, what he was cooking was another rook sacrifice, rook g1. And he sacrificed the rook for the second time. Of course I have to take it, nothing else. And of course I had to foresee this as well. But I played quickly here. I took a g1, and he quickly played knight g5, like, things are over. and they are against all moves except one. If I take this, of course I'm getting mated, queen h7. If I play, well, there's not much else really. If rook f7, then bishop check, and bishop g6, and bishop takes f7 mate. So there's not much really that we can do, but fortunately, I do have queen takes f2, double exclaim, Lord hammer, and this saves the game. Possibly more than that. Okay, so he takes the queen, and now f takes g5 with check. Very important, because now I have time to defend against the mate, and I won a piece. So king g3. This turns out to be an unfortunate square. He probably has to go to e1, and then I think it should be a draw. We'll see why in a moment. I defend the mate, nothing else, rook f7. And I even have, if he goes queen takes check, I even have this. So another fortunate situation for the king. But now he blundered, he played bishop e4. And very unfortunately, I did not see the refutation. I went with in time trouble. Okay, this is attacked and the rook is hanging behind. So if I try to defend like bishop e7, he's going to take this pawn. There's still an attack on c6, and there's still a threat of bishop g6 picking this up. Stuff that's difficult to calculate. So I decided to be practical in time trouble, especially in a team competition. Just take on c4, which is what I did. And then I can bring the rook into the game. I'm up a pawn, and there shouldn't be any danger. But what I missed was, and the reason why king g3 is not a good move, is I could have played knight e7, saved my knight, because he does not have time to take my rook because of the unfortunate position of the king. We'll end a big fork here on f5. And black wins the game. So I would save the piece and should be able to consolidate. So instead I took on c4. Consolidated, I played the move bishop d5. He took it. And here we ended up playing the perpetual. I allowed it because still in time trouble, and I just thought I couldn't win anyway after something like this. He's going to pick up, well, I'm not sure where it's best to have the king. He's going to pick up this pawn, and it's very hard for me to coordinate the rooks and take care of my king. So I didn't want, any tricky things in time trouble, so I just ended up allowing the perpetual. So an exciting game, very exciting sequence. When he sacrificed a piece, the exchange, then a rook, and then another piece. But we countered it with a queen sacrifice, which could have yielded the win, but in the end, a very exciting draw. Not all draws are boring, right? So anyway, hope you enjoyed that game. See you later. Bye-bye.